Hey everyone! Gosh, it's been literally a minute since I posted, but I didn't want to just come back until I really knew the why behind it, and now I do. You know, the season of my life is all about stepping into new things. I just moved to New York City, new job, new apartment, so I just started this whole new chapter here in New York, and with that I really wanted this channel to reflect where I'm at today. And when I first started posting, you know, it was all about Star Wars, and don't get me wrong, Star Wars is still my bread and butter, absolutely still obsessed, of course. But, you know, over time I've realized that what I'm actually passionate about isn't just one franchise, it's stories as a whole. Stories that elevate us, that teach us something, stories that move us forward and show us who we could be. That's the kind of content I really want to make here. Because, you know, let's be real, while Star Wars will literally always be my home, sometimes it can get stuck in negativity, and I don't want this channel to just be about tearing things down. I want it to be about lifting up the stories that actually matter and that make us want to be better humans and teach us something that maybe we didn't know about human life. If you've been here since the beginning, thank you for bearing with me. If you're new, welcome. We're just getting started. So going forward, you know, you're still gonna get Star Wars, I promise, but you'll also get me ranting about other stories and characters that absolutely blew me out of the water or, you know, changed my DNA as I know it, which is definitely the case for today. With that, today's video is about this tiny, super underground trilogy, okay? Like no one's heard of it. It's called Lord of the Rings. Very niche, very indie. Not only did reading it wreck me, but watching it for the first time quite literally altered my DNA, okay, and how I view life. And I want to tell you why. You ever get in one of those oddly specific moods, you know, where you just really want to watch grown men just annihilate each other, like with swords, for literally no reason, just not for the plot, not for the politics, just pure, unfiltered testosterone fueled chaos. I don't know, there's just something about seeing a dude taking a mace to the face in Gladiator, like it really just settles my nervous system. I don't know. I think it's better than therapy, but anyways, it's my kind of comfort viewing. Surely I'm not the only one, right? Like the sounds of war while I fold laundry. What I was going for. So that was the vibe a couple weeks ago whenever I hit play on Lord of the Rings trilogy. Extended editions, first time ever watching. 11 hours, one sitting, like all healthy people do. But halfway through, I realized something was happening to me that I did not sign up for.
Help me! I'm feeling!
I mean like soul splitting, life will never be the same again feelings. Like I will not be the same woman I was when I sat down to watch this trilogy whenever I get up, 100%. And it really came down to this. In the entire trilogy, no one ever said the words "I love you." Like I don't think they did. Like in the movies at all, for sure. Like not once. And yet, I walked away with the clearest definition of love I've ever seen. Clearer than any rom-com, hence the thumbnail, any sermon or philosophy book. It's never been laid out so plainly or beautifully with no room for interpretation as this trilogy. Because y'all, it was everywhere. It was in the small gestures, the sacrifices, the unspoken loyalties. This wasn't just a trilogy about war, good versus evil, like it was truly a masterclass in love when no one's trying to sell it to you. And hear me out, hold on, if you're a guy watching this, don't dip yet, okay? Well, what if you've been watching this trilogy your whole entire life and missed the whole point, okay? No offense. But this isn't a video about like soft, feminine feelings. Like this is about the kind of love that most men have been conditioned to ignore or taught that it's homosexual in some way, not because men are incapable of love, but because no one ever showed them how powerful it actually is if they were to embrace it. So if you stick with me, I promise it'll be worth it. Okay, I can't promise that. Maybe you'll be entertained. I don't know. Watch if you want to. Frick. So with that, let's break down how Tolkien defines love with this trilogy, character by character, moment by moment. The first form of love that we meet in this trilogy is not gentle at all. It's the kind that refuses to leave you small. And we learn that with Gandalf. Section 1, Love Calls You Higher. Gandalf is the quiet driver of this entire series. He's not just casting spells and being cryptic, like no. He's loving people in the rarest way possible by refusing to let them stay small. His love challenges, it refines, and it believes. He reminded me so much more of my grandmother, Tita. She was the matriarch of my family, and we just lost her in December, sadly. But she never let me settle. Truly, y'all, like, her love didn't comfort me into complacency, but it really called me into what I would call queenship. Like, she just always reminded me that the only limitations in my life are the ones that I placed on myself. And she always found the perfect way to not only love me exactly where I was, but also loved me into a higher calling and a higher purpose. And that's exactly who Gandalf reminded me of. And by the way, I decided to read this trilogy right after I lost her, so not a good idea, spoiler alert, since Gandalf reminded me so much of my grandma, but anyways, it's fine. Gandalf doesn't just hand out comfort, okay? He looks at your fear and he says, okay, but we move. That's what real love does. It pushes you into your purpose when you'd rather hide. Think of Aragorn, for instance. Like, without Gandalf, he would have stayed a wandering ranger forever. Gandalf reminds him who he is and he calls him into it, even if it's deeply uncomfortable for Aragorn, like the whole trilogy until the end. Or think about Frodo in the Mines of Moria. Frodo says, I wish the ring had never come to me. And, Gandalf doesn't say, it'll be okay, Frodo, Frodo. He says,
come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
That scene tells me so clearly is that Gandalf's love is clarity. It doesn't erase the pain, it reframes it. That's love that grows you. Gandalf isn't trying to save you from the fire, he's walking you directly into it, so you can come out changed. And most importantly, he never asked you to do something he himself wasn't willing to do. He chooses the least likely, the least of these hobbits, and then literally dies for them. Spoiler alert, okay? And because death was apparently just a quick power nap for him, he literally comes back as Gandalf the White. Like, the man loved so freaking hard that he came back in 4K resolution. So Gandalf showed me love isn't just, oh, accept me as I am. True love accepts you but refuses to let you stay there. Anything less is just enablement disguised as love. And yet, as much as we need someone who calls us higher, love isn't always loud. Prophecies or pep talks, sometimes it just shows up, unshakable, right beside you, no matter what. Which brings us to the boys. Section 2, love stands beside you. My dudes, my guys, my amigos, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. 2 of them, which my eyes enjoyed watching significantly. Can we just take a moment to admire God's creation here, and I'm not talking about New Zealand. The masculinity here, literally elite. Not fragile, not insecure, just covenant loyalty in its rawest form. They didn't need to spell it out, they didn't even need to agree with each other half the time, truly. But when push comes to shove, they show up every single freaking time. Think about when the Fellowship first breaks. Boromir is dead, another spoiler. Frodo's gone, everything has literally fallen apart, mission failed as far as they know. Everything's fallen apart, and instead of scattering, Aragorn takes off running after Merry and Pippin. And without hesitation, Legolas and Gimli run with him, like immediately. No discussion, no, hey man, maybe, we should rest, and just loyalty in motion. Poor Gimli, bless his soul, like he suffers every step of cardio. Don't get me wrong, like the dude complains the entire time, gasping for air, wanting probably death. But he never stopped, because complaining is not the same as quitting. And that's love. You may argue, you may disagree, but when the choice comes, you follow. And by Helm's Deep, amid chaos, orcs climbing the freaking walls, death at every freaking side, what are Legolas and Gimli doing? Having a kill count drinking game, essentially. That's not distraction, that's intimacy. That's knowing each other so deeply that even in the face of certain death and doom and annihilation, they create joy together. And then, when Aragorn tries to sneak off to the Pass of the Dead into literal ghost territory, the most unnatural place imaginable, do Legolas and Gimli hesitate? Nope.
Not this time. This time you must stay, Gimli.
Have you learned nothing of the stubbornness of dwarves?
You might as well accept it. We're going with you, laddie.
Elves don't mess with the dead, and I'm pretty sure dwarves definitely don't either. But their love for Aragorn overrides fear, overrides culture, overrides self-preservation. He moves, they move. Period. And it all leads to this crescendo at the Black Gate, the end of all things. Aragorn turns back, eyes burning with that quiet fire, and he whispers the line that, carries the weight of the whole freaking trilogy.
For Frodo.
Oh, this line. 2 words, y'all. 2 words. No theatrics, no manipulation, just covenant for my friend. That is enough of a reason. Because my friend needs something, I'm gonna do this batshit crazy thing and just take on this huge army with like 10 people. Because my friend needs a distraction for Frodo. That was reason enough. It wasn't for Middle Earth, no, just for Frodo, for my friend. That's love, y'all. Jeez. Then he charges into certain death. Who's right next to him? Okay, Legolas and Gimli, without hesitation yet again. And one thing I kept thinking about Legolas, my fave, he is like immortal, right? He's the immortal elf who could have kept to himself above all this like mortal class and stay with his dad, who by the way is bae, okay? I don't care what y'all say, that man is...
There was nothing more he could tell me.
That's daddy, yeah. Team trying to do it all day, every day. Obsessed. Anyways, he chooses to tie his fate to a man, to a human being. That's not just friendship, that's brotherhood. These three, they don't just fight together. They move together. Different races, different cultures, different temperaments, completely different temperaments. And yet, they nearly operate as one. They were to me like this unholy trinity of loyalty. The kind that doesn't say I love you, because it's proven every single time they choose each other without question. But love isn't just proven in loyalty. You know, sometimes it's proven in failure, in the moments you break, when shame has you like bleeding out completely, and you choose truth anyways. Section 3, love redeems through truth. Boromir. Pain.
I tried to take the ring from him. I have failed you all.
It's not even the best part of his story, because what makes Boromir so unforgettable and what like broke me in that scene, it's not his failure, it's what he did after. Okay, so when the ring finally breaks him, he lunges for it, Frodo flees, and for a moment we think, yep, okay, there's another man who couldn't handle the temptation, weak man, whatever. End of character, roll credits, but Tolkien doesn't let him go out like that. Boromir's redemption didn't come from denial or spin, no. He didn't try to justify himself. He didn't say, well, technically Frodo totally overreacted, like, he didn't gaslight the Fellowship, okay? He chose full accountability, okay? That's so rare. That choice cost him everything, okay? He doesn't die protecting his image, just raw, heart-wrenching honesty in his final breath.
Then you did what I could not. I tried to take the ring from him. Forgive me. I did not see.
He's confessing, but also honoring Aragorn that he would have followed him. This line right here, y'all. I would have followed you, my brother, my captain, my king. Okay, mind you, in the beginning, he was not a big fan of Aragorn. To end up like this, he didn't have to say this to him, okay?
I would have followed you, my brother. My captain. My king.
Those words weren't just about Aragorn. They were about Boromir's transformation. That one confession just before redeems everything, okay? Not because it erases the betrayal, but because it proves his heart had changed. And notice the order of things. He doesn't skip straight to honoring Aragorn. He first admits his failure with Frodo. He names it, he owns it. He doesn't try to carry loyalty and deception at the same time. No. He clears the air, even while dying, so that his last words could be truth, not spin. That's why his final legacy isn't, the guy who tried to steal the ring, or the failure, or the hot-headed dude, whatever. It's the man who confessed, who loved enough to tell the truth, and chose dignity over denial. And Aragorn, he kneels. He gets down literally on his level. He receives him as a brother restored. He blesses his repentance with dignity. He honors his loyalty, and he literally grieved him like family. That's redemption. Not perfection, of course, not pretending it didn't happen, but truth meeting compassion and transforming shame into honor. And it made me wonder, how many people today are still bleeding out in shame, still trying to protect an image, still lying to preserve control, when what they really need is to just let themselves be seen, to be honest. Because the truth is that love cannot exist where lies thrive. Boromir showed us that real love doesn't demand flawlessness. It just demands honesty. And what happened next really made me realize something even deeper. True love also bestows honor when no one else will. That's the love of kings. And for this next section, we'll look at our two kings, Theoden and Aragorn, and what they teach us about love. And that's that love honors. Two kings who did not have to honor anyone, yet did. Take Theoden, okay? Cursed, betrayed, exhausted, crusty, needs bath. Literally from the second he wakes up, is immediately put to work. And still, when the battle comes, he refuses to lie to his people. At Helm's Deep, when hope is gone, he doesn't pacify them with fake bravado. It's often looked over because of how epic that freaking speech was, but what stood out to me is how extremely brutally honest he was to his men. So it begins. The sword day, the red day. Death. Like yelling the word death. That's not despair, y'all. That's respect. That's a king who loves his men enough to tell them the truth. He won't manipulate their emotions. He won't flatter them into obedience. He honors them by trusting that they're strong enough to face reality with him, and then rides with them. That's honor in action, not sending others to die while you hide, but suffering alongside them.
And the sun rises! Rise now! I'm the ruin and the world ending! More! Death! More!
And then there's also Eowyn, right? A woman who's constantly sidelined, told to stay home, to watch the women, to protect the people, stay in her place, essentially. But Theoden, he doesn't shrink her. No, he doesn't dismiss her grief. You know, there's this brief, quiet moment right before the battle that really stood out to me where he just touches her face and says, "No more despair." It's so small you could miss it, but in that moment, he was honoring her. He names her strength. He gives her dignity. He honors her not as a burden, but as a warrior in her own right. And look what happened because of that, right? Theoden dies with dignity, not as a man cursed or broken, but as a king remembered. And Eowyn, the woman he literally honored, goes on to fulfill his legacy by slaying the Witch King, the foe no man could defeat, right? Theoden's love gave her space to rise, and she did. Now shift to Aragorn, okay, our other king. When he's crowned king, 4 hobbits kneel before him. And let me remind you, okay, y'all, these are hobbits. They're small, they're overlooked, underestimated, they like to get drunk, they like to eat. The world sees them as simple, as foolish creatures, and yet they carried the ring freaking across Mordor. They held the weight that literally no one else could carry. And I don't know, maybe that's why I wore this top, is because it maybe in my subconscious reminded me of the Shire, and those were just such the heroes of the story. Aragorn could have let them bow, 100%. He could have received it as his due. Okay, he's the king now. But instead...
My friends, you bow to no one.
Oh my God, my Shayla, my Shayla.
For a king to humble himself that way, oh my gosh, he kneels, and the entire kingdom kneels with him. I thought that Mulan scene was insane, y'all. No. Doesn't come close to this. Okay, well, it's kind of close, but this one is just so much more significant. And that's honor given freely, publicly, without hesitation. Not because it benefited Aragorn in any way, of course not. Not because they demanded it, of course the hobbits didn't demand it. But it's because he saw their worth and refused to let it go unrecognized. And that's the common thread here with these two kings. Theoden didn't need to honor a woman in patriarchal Middle-earth. Aragorn didn't need to honor hobbits in a world that mocked them. And they kind of mocked themselves, to be fair, okay? But true love doesn't play by the world's rules of status. True love bestows honor where honor is due. Openly, proudly, without prompting. But honor alone isn't the whole story either, because eventually the speeches end, the crown's tarnished, the big battles end, all the glory, all the dopamine highs totally fade away. Then you find out if love can endure the ordinary. That's where Merry and Pippin show us the kind of love that keeps going, even when fear is screaming at you to stop. Section 5. Love that stays when it stops being easy. When love is true, no fear is loud enough to keep you behind, and no characters prove that more than Merry and Pippin. Because let's be real, y'all, like they had every excuse to run. They weren't warriors, they were hobbits. They were small and soft and honestly way out of their depth in every single way from the get-go. And yet somehow, these two little chaos gremlins, like they literally end up carrying some of the heaviest weight in the story. And here's the kicker, okay? In the books, like they didn't just stumble onto this quest because they ran into Frodo and Sam on the way. They conspired with Sam to stand beside Frodo before he even left the Shire, okay? They literally volunteered for the road. And from the moment they made that decision, as we know, like it only got harder. When the Fellowship fell apart, Frodo tried to slip away. They made a split-second decision to put themselves in harm's way, deliberately luring these freaking orcs towards them, sacrificing their own safety so that Frodo could get away. That wasn't foolishness. That was, in that moment, their love for Frodo was so much bigger than their fear of the orcs. Dragged across freaking Rohan by the orcs, like they're beaten, starved, terrified, every reason to break. But do they despair? Do their spirits break? No. They keep their wits, they trick their captors, like seize the chance to escape, like even in chains, their love outshines their fear. And their courage only deepens as the story continues. Like we literally see him like riding into battle, like right beside Eowyn. He's shaking, he's trembling and terrified, but he refuses to abandon her. Tear-soaked moment, he delivers like one of the most crucial blows of the war, striking the Witch King so Eowyn can finish him. Like a hobbit, okay? Too small for armor, too scared to stand on his own, still choosing to fight for someone else's victory. I don't know if it was Merry or Pippin, I'm trying to remember in the movie, where they wanted to go away. They were like, let's just go home. And it was like, no, we can't go home. There won't be a home if we leave. And they both realized their love of their Shire and their love of their friends. No, we have to stay. Even if we can't do anything, we cannot imagine just abandoning our friends. Like our love of our friends and our home is forcing us to stay.
It's too big for us. What can we do in the end? We've got the Shire.
And all that was once green and good in this world will be gone. There won't be a Shire, Pippin.
Their love changed the world because it wasn't loud, it wasn't legendary, it wasn't clean, it was definitely messy and annoying to Gandalf for sure. It wasn't fearless, but it was faithful. It was small bodies carrying gigantic love. And perfect love doesn't mean you never tremble. It means you don't let fear decide. But of course, our dude Tolkien wanted to keep wrecking me and my old definition of love, okay? Because staying obviously is powerful. But the highest form of love isn't just presence, it's surrender, okay? It's carrying what you didn't cause, even when it breaks you. And no one embodies this more than Sam. I'm gonna tell you real quick, I'm gonna try to get through this whole section without crying because Sam broke your girl, okay? Section 6, love carries what it didn't cause. Samwise Gamgee. Oh my gosh. My heart, be still my heart. The gardener, friend, wasn't chosen. He really wasn't supposed to be anything more than just Frodo's companion. And yet by the end, Sam becomes the freaking clearest and greatest definition of love I have ever seen. This dude broke me 3 times, okay? Not little cracks, full-on sobs, okay? Where I had to pause the movie and I was unwell. First was at the river, okay? Frodo pushes off, determined to go to Mordor without anyone else, and Sam is like left standing on the shore. I don't know if they really said this in the movie, but the one thing that Sam fears more than anything in the world is water. They made that very clear, okay? The dude cannot swim. He knows he will drown if he steps foot like into the river, right? And what does he do? He literally runs straight into that thing, like into the thing that terrifies him the most, because keeping his promise matters more than saving his own life. Nearly dies in shallow water, but it's fine. We'll let it go. And then Frodo pulls him out, sputtering, choking. The dude's like dying, but Sam doesn't rage or demand gratitude. Like he just says,
I made a promise, Mr. Frodo. Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee. And I don't mean to. I don't mean to.
Will you excuse me, please?
oh my god. this line destroyed me all, okay? Because I'll be honest, I'm used to people and men, quite frankly, who will do everything in their power to escape a promise, not to keep one. You know, I'm used to men who break their word the second it costs them anything. But then here was Sam, willing to literally drown, then live, having broken his vow. And that's not freaking casual loyalty, y'all. Like, that's covenant love, okay? And that's just one time. Like, that's literally just one time. But that was such a freaking gorgeous scene because it was so profound. The second breaking was when Sam straight up started prophesying and becomes someone who carries hope for the both of them.
Sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. That meant something. Even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. Because they were holding on to something. What are we holding on to, Sam? There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for.
That was not just inspiration for its own sake. Frodo has nothing left to give already at this point, and Sam becomes the vessel of hope. He does not deny the shadow, of course not, but he insists that it cannot last. That is a man refusing to let despair write the ending. To see the light for the one you love when they can no longer see it for themselves. And then comes the third breaking of Eve Lane, okay? And I'm sure 99% of y'all, Mount Doom. Oh my god. Nothing could have prepared me. Nothing. It's like you read it in the books, but then I was not prepared for this man's acting, y'all. Like, I was not. Ground is ash, friggin' air is fire. Frodo collapses, okay? He's done in every sense of the word. Can't move, can't do nothing. And Sam just kneels beside him, voice shaking. You know what? You know what? I'm not even gonna try to tell you the scene. Let's just watch it.
And the birds will be nesting in the hazel thicket. And they'll be sowing the summer barley in the lower fields. I can't recall the taste of food. No, the sound of water. The touch of grass. Naked in the dark. There's nothing. No veil between me and the wheel of fire. I can see him with my waking eyes. Then let us be rid of it. Once and for all. Come on, Mr. Frodo. I can't carry it for you. But I can carry you. Come on!
Lifts Frodo onto his back and he climbs, friggin' step by step, stone by stone, like he carries not the burden, but the burdened one. And notice Sam 100% expects to die here, okay? He's not carrying Frodo because he thinks they're gonna survive this. No, he's carrying Frodo because he promised. And he would rather die keeping that promise than live breaking it. Like, don't you see that? Like, that is sacrificial love. Do y'all realize, by all account, Frodo should have failed? Completely corrupted by the ring. Sam had every reason to give up on him, but he didn't allow that temporary struggle to corrupt his own image of Frodo. He knew the ring was at fault for how his friend was totally disintegrating. And I can confidently say, okay, that if there was not another like single person in Middle Earth besides Frodo, Sam still would have carried him all the way. Because at no point did it seem like Sam was motivated by saving the world or some grand quest. But it was clear he was driven by his love for his friend, to save his friend, and refused to let evil consume him. And even in the end, when he's carrying him, he was respecting Frodo's boundaries by not carrying the ring and literally put him on his back instead. I have no words. Sam doesn't become king. He doesn't get this grand acknowledgement. He's not the chosen one, but he's the reason the mission succeeds. The world isn't saved because Frodo was strong. It's saved because Sam wouldn't let him fall. And yet, the greatest act of love, even then, is not just in how Sam carried Frodo, it's how he eventually let him go. After everything, Frodo can't stay, right? He's broken, way too marked by the ring, he has to go for the Great Havens. And Sam, who has given literally every ounce of his life to keep Frodo alive, he has to watch him leave. He has to release the very person his soul was knit to protect. Think about that. Sam could have clung, he could have begged, he could have tried to hold Frodo to the life that he built for both of them. Real love knows when it's time to release. So he stands on the deck, tears literally running down his face, and he lets Frodo go. He lets him walk onto that ship and leave him behind. And that's the rarest love of all, you see, because true love is not just sacrifice, but love is also surrender. Like Sam carried Frodo into life, and then he carried him into death, or what felt like death, right? But in the end, he carried him all the way to goodbye. Samwise Gamgee is not just the heart of this story, like he is the blueprint for what love actually is. And last, but certainly not least at all, love mourns with those who mourn. At the very end, when the ring is finally gone, Frodo breathes relief. The quest is finished, the burden's lifted, he can finally see the Shire again. It was a beautiful moment. But that's also the exact moment when Sam finally cracks. You see the weight of everything he's lost just hit him at once. His grief of knowing that this quest cost him his life. He expected to die on that rock, you guys. It hits him that he's not gonna be able to marry Rosie, and he envisions her dancing. The whole future he dreamed of, gone. And he completely broke down in sobs. And for the first time, Frodo, the one who's been carried all the way up, he sits up, he puts aside his own relief, his own freedom, and he embraces Sam. It's a quick scene, but it's massive. It was beautiful because it's Frodo saying, I see your pain too. Honestly, this scene, I can't help but think about like the shortest verse in the Bible, Jesus wept. And the context of that was that his friend Lazarus was dead. He fully knew that he was literally about to raise him from the dead. The miracle was seconds away. His sisters are coming up to him, sobbing. And he was overcome with emotion. He didn't dismiss their tears with, don't worry, I'll fix this. No, he entered into it. He stood in the middle of their pain and literally wept with them. Fully present, fully moved, even knowing that resurrection was literally coming. And that's what Frodo does for Sam in this moment. He doesn't tell him to toughen up. He doesn't try to rush him. He puts himself second. He lays aside his victory or his relief. He just weeps with him. And isn't that also love? Like not just carrying burdens, but stopping long enough to share the tears. Love that doesn't put you on a timeline to get over it. Love that can lay down its own joy to be fully present in your grief as well. So here's the real question. After watching all this, how do you define love? And maybe harder still, how are you loving others? Because what Tolkien gave us wasn't just a fantasy epic. He gave us a mirror, a blueprint, a picture of love in its truest form. Gandalf's love that refused to let you stay small. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli's love that shows up without question. Boromir's love that redeems itself through truth. Theoden and Aragorn's love that bestows honor where the world withholds it. Merry and Pippin's love that trembles but stays anyway. And Sam's love that carries and then releases. And when you put all of that together, like, that's not the Hollywood kind of love we've been shown in rom-coms. Like, not at all, okay? It's not the playlist or the Instagram caption, dopamine hit kind of love. It's the kind of love that honestly Paul described centuries ago. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. And that's the test, isn't it? If it doesn't do those things, my friends, it's not love, it's a counterfeit. I walked away knowing this, that I will never again, and I hope you feel the same way, ladies, if you're watching this, or dudes, okay? Dudes too. I learned that I will never again accept a lesser version of love after seeing this. Ladies, if a man isn't willing to love you like Samwise Gamgee, or honor you like Aragorn, or believe in you like Gandalf, he's not worth your time, baby girl, okay? It's not love. And maybe that's why Tolkien's story still holds up to this day. Why it's one of the strongest, greatest trilogies ever told. Nearly, like, flawless in my eyes. Because it reminds us that love was never meant to be shallow, selfish, or performative. It was always meant to be costly, covenantal, and eternal. And that's all forms, not just romantic, but true love. If you've ever seen this trilogy, I encourage you to watch it again. But this time, watch it for the love. Because it might not just change how you see the movie, it might just change how you live.